Welcome to Senior Moments, the show where we talk about all things senior, the good, the bad, and the utterly ridiculous. Today I have with me Rue Marshall. Welcome, Rue. And Christy Moore. Welcome, Christy. They are both from ATCAA. Before we start talking to Christy and Rue about the wonderful programs that ATCAA has to offer, I want to take just a minute to point out that, yes, I did lose my front tooth, and Medicare will not cover it. So, little PSA, please, government, dental work is really important for keeping people healthy. And I believe if you cover the dental work, we will save money in the long run. Now, to ATCAA. Which one of you would like to start first?
I will go ahead. Just to let you know, I've been with ATCAA for almost 8 years now. I raised my kids in Calaveras, so Calaveras is near and dear to my heart. And so I'm so happy that we can offer programs in Calaveras County. I'm the communication director, and so I'm very familiar with all aspects of ATCAA. And so I just thought I'd give you a little bit of history with community action and what we are and who we serve and why we serve and who we don't serve and why we don't. So community action came out of Lyndon B. Johnson's War on Poverty, the 1964 Economic Opportunity Act, and that established a pocket of money on the federal level that was given to those organizations that established themselves as a community action agency. And it takes quite a bit of work, and there's quite a bit of reporting and rules that you have to follow to be a community action agency to get these funds. They're community service block grant funds.
Okay.
And they go out to, there's about 1,200 nationwide, and in California, I think we're up to 60. And so the money from the federal pot goes to the state, and then the state is basically our boss.
Okay.
And tells us, you know, we have to have an audit, and we have to follow these rules, and we have to do all these things, and you know, we get our share of that money. And ATCAA operates on, I don't know, a $10 to $12 million a year budget. And the CSBG funds are right around usually $250,000 or so. So it's not really anything. If we didn't get this money, it wouldn't break us.
Right.
But it's important because looking at other funders that are looking at us, when they see that we are a community service block grant qualified agency, and we have to go through this, they realize that they can trust us with their money versus somebody else that's not another organization that's not a CAA. So that gives us leverage in that sense. So that's
great.
why that's so important to establish that. So fast forward from 1964, and these were coming up everywhere. It was prior to 1981, we were established in 1981, that concerned community members in the foothills, and that included Amador and Calaveras and Tuolumne counties, wanted to establish one of these agencies. And at the time, with the boards of that time in 1981, they were going to the counties and the boards and saying, this is what we can do and this is how this works. And Amador agreed, and Tuolumne agreed, and Calaveras did not. It was for anti-poverty programs, and at that time they felt like that there just wasn't that need. I don't know if that really was true or not, but that's how it was felt, at least with that board at that time. So then moving forward, here's Amador and Tuolumne formed, it's a joint powers agreement through their governments on the other side to establish this agency. So we're not necessarily a nonprofit 501c3, we're a public not-for-profit government agency. And it just depends on the community. We have needs assessments all the time, and we decide, you know, in the community, we need a food bank, or we need to help people with this or that and the other. And there may be some other nonprofits or other organizations that help with something. And we say, well, they're doing that, so we don't need to do that. Let's do this over here. And then in general, CAAs do have like an energy program, like we will talk about. housing program, a food bank, Head Start, the child care. So those are the 4 main blocks. And then it depends on the community with what those needs are and how they branch out in different ways. So they're all over, they're just a little bit different.
Okay.
Eventually, Calaveras saw there was a need, and I believe, I don't know when the Resource Connection was founded, but they were starting to fill that need with the food bank and child care and some of the other things they do. And then after that, Calaveras said, well, how can we be a CAA? And it has to do with populations and some other things. So then there was Mariposa. So they said, okay, we're going to be Calaveras Mariposa Community Action Agency. So it's structured strangely. Here's Amador and Tuolumne, and here's Calaveras and Mariposa. And there's some hoops you have to go through to be established as that. So now, though we offer these things in Tuolumne County and in Amador County, some of the things we offer in Tuolumne we don't in Amador and vice versa, and it always depends on funding and depends on grants and what we see our vision to be and who we need to reach out to and what the needs are in the counties and where the funding is. And I'll let Rue go ahead and go into the energy, because that's our biggest area that we serve Calaveras residents with.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Christy.
Take it away, Rue.
Okay, so I'm Rue Marshall. Some of you may have spoken to me before over on the phone or in San Andreas, because I am there every other Monday. I am here representing ATCAA's Energy Department. We serve Amador, Calaveras, and Tuolumne County.
So that makes another little wrinkle, because then you're not doing Mariposa.
Yeah,
No, but
Mariposa does it themselves.
Okay,
Yeah.
They have their own
Now we wouldn't
energy
want
contract.
this to be
Yeah.
too much of a straight path.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So I would like to get into the different services that ATCAA's Energy Department can offer. Right now, we can offer several different things, even in the Energy Department. We are doing water conservation, or it's called Prop 1, well water testing, utility assistance, of course, for PG&E or propane, weatherization services, emergency heating and cooling services, as well as sweats.
This episode of Senior Moments is brought to you by Naughty Squirrel Farms. What was the last thing?
Sweats. It's an acronym,
Okay.
and I will get into that.
All righty.
Okay. So Prop 1 is the Water Conservation Services. It is a free program that it tries to help lower your water bill and conserve water. We are, ATCAA is a member of the Tuolumne-Stanislaus Integrated Regional Water Management Authority, otherwise known as T-STAN-IRWA.
Oh my.
Yeah. And these programs, through like the water conservation and the well water testing, they are targeting to assist a goal of 688 homes through June of 2026. So it is kind of like what Christy mentioned earlier. It's very grant and funding oriented. It depends on all of that. Well water testing is available for Tuolumne County and Southern Calaveras County residents. So like it says in the little slide that we're looking at here, upon eligibility verification, the program is providing free well water testing for bacteria plus nitrate plus arsenic, as well as one of the examples listed on there. And so the Prop 1 and well water testing, like I kind of briefly mentioned, it is part of the T-STAN watershed folks. So anyone who falls in the red outline district, so that's again Tuolumne County and then Southern Calaveras County residents who fall within that T-STAN watershed area is eligible to apply for the program.
Okay, I understand well testing, but what kind of things are you doing to help people save water?
So that kind of overlaps with our weatherization program,
Okay.
services that we offer, but it's anything from like low flow shower heads, certain filtration devices, anything like that. I believe I'm actually not certain if they do big appliances, but we do like certain washers and toilets and things like that. Anything that's water related. If that
Perfect.
makes sense. And then this is my favorite part because this is what I do. We also offer the LIHEAP, Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Low income in the name. We offer these services to eligible low income households. This is pulled from the CSD, which is the state portion, the state boss that Christy referred to, that we report to. So this program, oh, sorry, coffee was not enough for me clearly this morning. But it is available to, as long as you're income eligible and you can provide the state required supporting documents, whether you're a tenant or a homeowner, you can apply for this program.
That's wonderful. And then you also don't have to be a senior for this program.
No.
Anybody that meets the income requirement is eligible.
Yes,
Okay.
precisely. And then I'll get into the weatherization program. This lovely picture right here is our current weatherization crew. They do great work. Weatherization is a free service for qualified households to improve their home energy efficiency and lower their energy costs for, again, both tenants and homeowners. These services are available once every 5 years for eligible dwellings. And federal law requires that this program targets households that are low income with high energy costs, taken into consideration households with elderly and disabled persons, as well as children aged 5 and younger. So that's like the state-defined, if you will, vulnerable households that we're particularly supposed to target as far as assisting.
And do you usually have enough funds to go through the whole year, and are you able to serve everybody that contacts you? Is that typical, or do you run out of funds at some point?
We do usually run out of funding sometime in the fall, usually. And then in December, sometimes even January, we get the funding for the new program year.
Okay.
So in this case, for this year, it would be the new funding for 2026, and then we can start intakes again.
Okay.
Yes.
So so you are taking intakes right now for this program, correct?
Definitely.
Okay, good.
Definitely. And then health and safety measures are something that the weatherization program has to cover. These are things that are outside of providing like energy efficiency or lowering of energy costs for the home. So it's anything to make your home more of a safe and comfortable environment. So it's like carbon monoxide detectors, smoke detectors, things like that. That is also something that our weatherization program can cover.
Okay. You're kind of bleeding into the home repair program, I think. Are you bumping up against the home repair program that Area 12 does when you do that? I guess I'm thinking more specifically about ramps and things like that, because you're also talking about making the home safer here. So I'm wondering about the overlap, or is there one?
So that's actually a great question, because we do get that asked a lot. Our weatherization program, it's not so much a repair program. It's more so, again, the main goal is to, in the long run, lower folks' energy costs and make their home more energy efficient. This part of safety bleeds more into health and safety.
Okay.
Yeah, so definitely we have referred folks to Area 12 before, specifically for, ramps and handlebars and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to just interject. That's one thing that I think our agency has done a particularly good job of, is partnering with other local organizations. So if somebody comes in and we serve them this way, we can say, and you can also contact, or we'll contact that other organization on their behalf. And so everybody's working together to try to get the services that are out there available to those individuals.
Yeah, we do a lot of resource and referral for sure.
I have found that the agencies here in the 3 counties really do seem to have good relationships between each other, and everybody. I find more people who will say, no, I can't help you, but here's someone that can, than the person that would say, I'm sorry, I can't help you, and leave it there.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody that works among all of our agencies ever wants to say that, and they don't.
Exactly, and I don't
There's
think
always
they do.
some help somewhere.
Yeah. So let me ask you, go back to the water a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought when I went through your voice response system the other day that there was a message that said the water assistance, you didn't have money for water assistance at this time. Is that correct, or am I misinformed?
No, definitely. You're correctly informed, unfortunately. The water assistance program that we had, it was called LIWAP, which stands for Low Income Home Water Assistance Program. That was kind of, if you will, a pilot program for the state. They wanted to see if there was a need in the state for water assistance. There clearly is. But that program ran from 2021, 2022, all the way up until March of 2024. And that's when the state closed out the program. So, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, exactly. There clearly is a need. We get calls almost every other day for water assistance. ATCAA does not have a water assistance program. The state just came out saying that they probably won't be reestablishing the program. However, I do want to say there is a Cal Water Hardship Program currently going on.
Okay.
That is something that is run by the state, and kind of Dollar Energy Fund is who administers and runs the program. That application process is not through us at all.
Okay.
So the first step would be to contact your own utility company to see if they're even signed up to offer that program.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, but there is water assistance technically. It's just not the one that we were offering.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I did, the Seroptimus came into the Caldwell Senior Provider Network last month. They have a kind of a fund where they help people with various things. And one of the things that they had done is help somebody with water. Now, they are female-oriented, so I'm not sure that you could refer everybody to them and they could help. And, I know that they will help if they can. So that is a resource that you might want to tuck into your pocket.
Definitely.
Gosh, there was another one, and now I don't remember. So, sorry, if it comes
It
back
might-
up, I
yeah,
will let you know. Oh, I was Sierra Hope. You might try talking
Yeah.
to Sierra Hope and see
Yeah.
if they have
They're
funding.
one of our partners, so
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
very well
definitely.
aware of them.
Okay, perfect. So, on to those horrible shower heads.
Well, so the next thing I want to talk about that ATCAA's Energy Department can offer is emergency heating and cooling services.
Okay.
This is a portion of the LIHEAP, the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program grant that specifically is targeting crisis intervention for energy-related emergencies, so any heating and cooling emergencies. Some measures that we could take care of are repair and replacement of water heaters, a heating source, or a cooling source.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we actually just had a senior lady go through this program with us. Her heater broke, and this was prior to the first winter storm coming in.
Oh, no.
And we were able to get out and help address this for her. So that was great. But yes, there is emergency heating and cooling. It is a portion of the grant, so I believe I was instructed that we don't have a ton of funding in this for that particular service, but we are able to offer it.
And again, I think that for people that are concerned about how our government is spending money, I think keeping people in their own homes, is way less. It's way more cost efficient than having to take people out of a home and put them in a situation where you're basically housing them because of a broken heater.
Right.
Way less costly to just go ahead and fix that heater. So
Definitely.
that is my PSA on that.
Yeah, I've heard stories from the weatherization crew where people are literally in tears, not expecting some of these things. And once it gets assessed and they decide, well, this person needs a refrigerator or a heater or whatever it is, and they come and install it, it's pretty incredible.
That's wonderful.
It is.
And
we
it,
have a
it,
great
it
crew
keeps
right now.
people in a community. And I think that's really important too, that, you know, we keep our community in connections and have the most stable communities that we can have, because then we're all happier and healthier.
Definitely. The next thing I want to talk about is what you asked me about when we first opened up this segment. It's SWETS. So SWETS is an acronym. It stands for Severe Weather Emergency and Transportation Services. SWETS is used to address energy-related emergency needs of low-income households, specifically during a natural disaster. It's anything weather-related, basically.
Okay.
In general, SWETS emergency services are to be viewed as a temporary or interim measure to serve the heating or cooling energy needs of qualifying households during the present crisis. So it's not something that folks should view as like a long-term solution to things. There is an intake and application process. It is a lot shorter compared to the regular LIHEAP application that a lot of folks have to fill out. Through SWETS, ATCAA may be able to provide utility assistance. Again, it has to be weather related. So if someone was experiencing like a PG&E shutoff and they are relying on medical devices that need, electricity.
Yeah, the PSPSs.
Yes, that is something that we can
Yeah.
try to help with. Temporary housing, transportation services, temporary cooling and power appliances. So we have loaner devices again, because this is like a short-term solution.
Sure.
And then other personal tangible items. So that's something mostly for winter weather. Like when we had the flooding and the winter storm come through back in 2022.
Snowmageddon.
Yes, in 2022.
Yes.
And we actually had a ton of apartments in Jackson, closer to our Jackson Service Center flood. And so we were able to help folks, with temporary housing and then replacing clothes, because they made it out with the clothes on their backs.
Right.
And then this is something that, Christy, you talked about earlier, but if there's anything that we can't quite cover during a SWETS emergency, and this has to be a state-declared emergency, so
Okay.
CSD has to activate SWETS, if that makes sense. But if we can't cover anything, we do try to, resource and referral. So SWETS was last activated, I think, last year in August when we had the heat wave come in.
Oh, that's right. It was
Yes.
miserable.
Yes, and so the counties, they opened their cooling centers, they opened the social services buildings, I believe, as cooling centers, and we weren't quite able to cover any transportation, but we did try to resource and referral as far as transportation for folks to get to the cooling centers through like Dial-A-Ride. I believe Calaveras County was doing their own free just transportation with the transit system. So yeah, we try to partner as much as we can if we can't cover something.
Sure. We're all better together.
Yeah, definitely. Teamwork makes the dream work.
Okay, I love it. Yes.
Yeah. And as far as myself, I am an energy worker. I can help with, or we can help with, so utility bills, obviously they have to be open and active residential accounts.
Okay.
For PG&E and propane with partnering utility companies. So most propane companies especially are partnered with us, but we do have an oddball here and there.
Yeah.
We can also assist with the application process. So we do offer over the phone intake assistance as required or appointments. Again, I am over in the San Andreas Social Services building every other Monday.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're actually looking to increase that. We are currently in process of hiring a Calaveras energy worker who will be there more consistently than what I can be there.
Sure.
Yeah, so that will be great. It's very
Yeah,
exciting.
it will be great.
Applications are available if folks want to call in and request one be mailed out to them. We can do that, or we have applications available in our lobbies for pickup at the Jackson Service Center as well as Sonora. And then we do also have them available at, again, the San Andreas Social Services Building and then the San Andreas Library as well. And I did just drop off a bunch to be specifically dispersed to the outstations for Calaveras County.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like the Copper Mountain Ranch.
Sure.
So there will be some there as well.
Now, can people apply online?
No.
Okay.
Well, the packets, the forms that you would be picking up or have mailed to you are available online, so you have to have
Okay.
the ability to print them out. But we're not digital with energy as of yet.
Yeah, as of yet.
It's something that's being discussed. There's different levels of that, and some of it has to do with what our funders say that they have to
Yes.
have from us and from the person applying. But there are ways, and we're determined to
So-
make that easier.
This is a good segue to using the kiosks. One kiosk is at the San Andreas Library. You guys are on the DRAIL, or on the ARCD. I never get that acronym right, but with the kiosks at Area 12 set up, you could go in, you could download the forms, you could actually print them out right there at the library. And any place they have those kiosks set up, and I'm not sure, other than the one in San Andreas, I don't know where the other kiosks are, but that would be one more way for your people
That is
to get
something
things.
we need to look into because it's not just the energy applications, but there's some others. And that's a barrier to some people. Not everybody has a computer and a printer
Yes.
anymore, and if they do have a printer, do they have ink? And it's just,
Yeah.
it goes on and on. So
yes.
a way to go to some local area to get onto the website to print it is huge.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. For
And the
sure.
library's happy to
Yes.
help people
Yeah.
Right.
with that kiosk. And then,
Yeah.
of course, they've got their own computers that you could probably bring up the website and print off that as well. Although the kiosk you don't get charged for. I think if you use the library computers and have them print, it's like 5 cents a copy or something. But still, I mean, free, or
Yeah,
I'd go
that's
with
not-
free.
That's not much. And then with energy, unless you have an emergency, you could just call and get it mailed to you. You don't
Oh,
have to
good.
bother with doing all that yourself. That's
Sure.
a fairly easy way to overcome that obstacle.
Definitely.
Good.
So
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Oh, yes. So we can also help with the weatherization program and recertification. Sometimes recertification just means sometimes folks will apply for just the utility assistance,
Okay.
and then they'll kind of sit and think on it a bit and be like, I want to go through the weatherization services. So that's when that comes in.
Okay.
For weatherization, we do have some forms that are required. Again, you can be a tenant or a homeowner. Tenants have a form that they have to fill out to consent, the assessors coming in and doing the work and things. But there's a form that the landlord has to complete, or the property owner. For property owners, it depends on whether you have a single family home or a mobile or manufactured home. For mobile or manufactured homes, we do need a copy of the certificate of title. And then for just a single family home, it can be anywhere from a current tax bill to a current mortgage statement or a grant deed. But all of those things we can also, navigate when we get to that point, especially when folks come into our office or call us.
Okay.
Yeah.
And now people still need to get an appointment, right? Are
No,
you-
they do not.
Okay.
So that was something that was implemented during COVID, just to try and stagger the number of people, especially for the Jackson Service Center, because we have a rather small
Sure.
lobby area, front area. But no, now folks don't need an appointment to apply, and they also don't need to be in an emergency situation to apply. That's not something that's a requirement for our program specifically.
That is really good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as far as, so going into the application program for the
Okay.
utility assistance side, folks can call us to request an application, like I just mentioned.
Okay.
Or they can, if they have like access to a printer, like Christy was saying, we can email it to them, or they can pull one off our website, or they can pick one up at our many locations that we have them dropped off at.
Sure.
And then, so we do require that folks submit some required supporting documents. This is all trickling down from our boss, the state.
Yes, absolutely.
And they can either submit everything by coming into our office to drop it off, or they can mail it in, or they can fax it. It's basically anything other than email, just
Okay.
because email is not a secure portal, and we would
Sure.
like to do our part in protecting, everybody's information. And then we do an intake where we just, make sure that nothing's missing, no signatures, supporting documents. We try to make this as painless of a process as possible. So anything like bills, we can usually order, but yes, signatures or anything like that, we just try to not double check and make sure everything's there. And then we go ahead and process your paperwork for payment. And then folks, actually starting this year, folks will get a letter in the mail. It's a specific template that the state wants us to use. I know many folks will remember the yellow postcard. It's the same thing. It's just the state really wants us to use their,
Oh, dear.
uniform letter now.
Sure.
So that's what we're having to do. But the process is the same.
Okay.
And then as far as weatherization goes, once we're done with the processing of your application for utility assistance, for payment, we send out that letter, your information gets sent over to the weatherization department, and then they will do an intake themselves. They have their own guidelines
Okay.
that they have to follow and their own intake process. But then a weatherization crew worker will reach out to the applicant directly, to set up an appointment for assessment and things like that. And then you will also get a separate letter
Okay.
once they, get your information. So it's just going to let you know the weatherization crew will be reaching out to you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's letters for everything now this year. And then I just wanted to go over what everything looks like this year. This is a picture of our application cover sheet. They are updated every year. Sometimes the required supporting documents change. The income guidelines definitely change this every year.
Okay.
It goes
So
higher and higher.
yes, it gets bumped up by a percentage every
is
year,
good.
which is
It
which is good
yeah.
because
Well,
everybody
everything's
needs
going
it.
up.
Yes, everybody could use it. So that is what our cover sheet looks like.
Okay.
And then sometimes folks will get their application returned to them with what we call a missing information slip.
Okay.
It's just a shortened checklist, basically, of things that we need addressed, whether it's a signature or a missing document. Unfortunately, because we have the state to report to, we can't really get around these things. So, it'll just be checked off on the missing information slip. It's just a half sheet of paper.
Sure.
And then folks are always welcome to call us if they have any questions, if they can't find these documents, if there's a document that we can use in lieu of said missing document,
Sure.
we can navigate that as well. This is the letter, if you want to pull it up, that I was just mentioning that's replacing our yellow postcard that we are so fond of. It's just a letter of approval. It gets sent out once your application is processed for payment. It will show the date your application was processed, how much you were approved for, and any, steps beyond that. So I believe it says on there, if you're due for shut off, please continue to communicate with your utility company just to avoid any kind of service interruption or disconnection.
And are the utility companies working with you guys pretty well? Do they shut things off anyway, even knowing that you're in the process of trying to get the...
So that's a really good question. And it is a question we get a lot. It definitely seems to be case by case. So
Okay.
again, which is why it's really important, and we recommend folks to, even when they apply with us, you go ahead and communicate with the utility company that you've applied with us, because sometimes I'm really not sure, but especially for PG&E, they do sometimes still shut people off, or they want
Okay.
a payment, like an immediate payment, which is not something that our program is capable of doing. Yeah, so it's case by case. Most of the time, they are willing to work with folks as soon as they know that, applicants are working with us.
Right.
But again, it's case by case.
So possibly in a case where they want an immediate payment, maybe one of the other agencies that has a little more flexibility could do the immediate payment and let you guys work through your process. Does that ever happen?
Yeah, so for PG&E specifically, just saying, because propane companies tend to be a little bit more flexible.
Sure.
But for PG&E specifically, there is the REACH program. They are specifically more of an emergency assistance program. In fact, one of the requirements is you have to have a notice for shutoff to become eligible.
Okay.
They are a good avenue to go through, and you don't have to, be eligible for that program to be eligible for us. And it also doesn't mean that just because you applied for REACH, you aren't eligible for a program. You can definitely apply for both. But yeah, local resources are definitely something that we do refer people to, especially when we hear back from applicants that PG&E might not,
Right.
or whatever utility company might not be so flexible.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
For folks who are curious, we do have our income guidelines for LIHEAP, which is the Utility Assistance Program, and weatherization services. This is information that is posted on the cover sheet of our application. It is plastered all over our website.
Okay.
Generally, most folks do qualify for the program, but it is calculated by total gross monthly income. So it's,
Okay.
yeah, it's not what we take home necessarily. This is the income guidelines for the DOE Department of Energy program. This is used for specifically the emergency heating and cooling services that we mentioned earlier. Their income guidelines are slightly lower than what we use for our HEAP program.
Okay. So that's like a dance you get to do. Different,
Oh, yeah,
different programs have different income requirements.
Yes, yeah,
We wouldn't want to make it
definitely.
simple.
Oh, no.
No.
And that's just within energy.
Yes.
Then there's other programs with ATCAA, it's this or that or the other thing.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
It keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
It does. We have to pay attention.
All right.
And coffee is very important.
Yes.
I do want to go over something very quick for applicants who have applied before. Everybody, unfortunately, is required to submit all state-required documentation. We have run into cases where folks lose access to said documents. We have collaborated with different departments, even within ATCAA, like housing, for example, or the county social services, to try and assist clients to get all of the required documents together. But it is technically a requirement that folks submit all the documents every time they apply. And then, like I just mentioned briefly before, the application is updated every year. There are slight changes to some of the forms as well. So definitely just, when you pick one up or print one off our website or get one mailed to you even, just double check that it says 2025 on it.
That's a good
just
idea.
to ensure a smooth application process.
Now, I am familiar with driver's licenses because mine expires on a regular basis. Now, when you get a state ID, does that also have an expiration date on it if you're just getting an ID from the state?
So it does have an expiration date. The state did actually update one of their guidelines regarding IDs and driver's licenses. So if you have a driver's license that has expired, it is technically for our program specifically valid
Oh, good.
for 12 months after the expiration date. Not
right.
saying you should not get it updated,
No,
because
no,
you
I
definitely
understand.
should.
Well, I mean,
But
what if somebody had stopped driving so they didn't
yeah,
renew it?
so, and then for seniors specifically, if you're 60 and over, that is what the state considers seniors for our program.
Okay.
You don't have to have a valid driver's license or ID. It can be expired.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Great. As long
Mm-hmm.
as you haven't expired, it's good.
Yeah. I do want to go over some quick, frequently asked questions, if you will. A good one that we get a lot of the time is, how long does it take for an application to be processed? So it does say 12 to 16 weeks.
That is a
everywhere you
long
look.
time.
Now, I will say, we have an excellent team of energy workers here in Jackson and then in Sonora office. But this is what the state says. It's
Right.
12 to 16 weeks, and that's from you submitting your application in with all of the stuff to the credit being applied to your account.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean, once you send all of your stuff in, then the clock starts ticking. But this is legally, if you will, how
Sure.
long we're allowed to take.
Okay.
And then, so for PG&E especially, and even for propane as well, but we do what's called a pledge, just because we don't send out payments directly as soon as folks get like their letter of approval, for instance. We do what's called a pledge. It's basically a promise to pay. It won't show up on anybody's bills, but generally it's just a notation on the account. So it
Okay.
will, it should ideally stop anybody's shutoffs or anything like that. Yes, so we are located every other Monday from 10:30 to 1:30 at the San Andreas Health and Human Services building in the networking room. We are sometimes limited, unfortunately, by like weather conditions or staffing.
Sure.
So it's definitely recommended that folks call us. Again, this is not anything that needs an appointment. And then we are looking to increase that availability. And we are also always available at our Jackson Service Center or over the phone for
Okay.
Calaveras folks. Yes. And then another question we get a lot is, why was my application returned to me? So you will, kind of like what I mentioned before, because we went over it in our previous slides, but there's a missing information slip. Just look over that. It will tell you exactly what is missing and usually why we
Right.
can't accept it. And then if you have any questions, folks are always welcome to call us, especially because, again, guidelines do change. Something that that may have been accepted in previous years might not be. And then we do also offer an appeals process for folks.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yes. And this is for like covering anything from if you don't agree with the LIHEAP benefit amount that
Right.
was, that you were processed for, to, there's an error in the way we did an intake, then you can do an appeals process. It has to be in writing and it has to be sent by mail or anything.
Okay.
Basically, we just need a written statement
Sure.
to initiate that process. And then, so how long it takes to fill out an application. It usually takes about 30 minutes. There are a lot of state forms that are that need to be filled out. For each form covers a various area of information that the state does need. And then, so appointments are usually about 30 minutes for folks who do request an appointment.
Okay.
Just to let folks know. And we can help fill out the application, because we've had seniors come in, they can't really see well anymore, or, we've had folks with certain disabilities that limit like their reading abilities, or folks who just have tremors and they're
I was
not.
going to say, for me, my arthritis.
Yeah.
You would much rather fill it out for me than have me do it by myself. because
Definitely. So
You'd like to read it.
yeah, we can fill it out for you, but we do need you to sign it.
Sure, of course.
But yeah, we can definitely fill it out for you. And ooh, yes, another question we get a lot is, who should I list as my other household members? So everybody who lives under your roof has to
Okay.
be listed. That is a human being. I do
Right.
get asked sometimes if folks can list their dogs or cats. And as much as we love them, for this particular program, it's a no.
Okay.
And there is a form in the application that I do get questions about. It's specifically, it's the CSD 081 form. It's the account holder authorization form. That form, folks, even, folks who live in a sub-metered or a mobile home, if you will, in a mobile home park, everyone should fill it out because it is documented consent that we can reach out to your utility company or your mobile home park on your behalf.
Okay.
Yeah. So anything from, like ordering bills, we would definitely need that form signed out.
Sure.
And then I do have to go over some program limitations. While we do our best to assist everybody, we do recommend that all applicants make arrangements with their utility company to avoid any kind of service disruptions or account closure. We do send pledges to PG&E and propane companies, and we do always advise that folks continue to pay their bills even after we process their application as much as they can.
Right. Because they wouldn't be applying if they had the money to do it in the first place. So,
yeah, exactly. So as much as they can. For weatherization, we already talked about this a little bit, but it is not a repair service, rather a program that provides, weatherproofing, if you will, for a household. And then you are eligible, or everybody who qualifies by the income guidelines is eligible to apply once every program year.
Okay.
To make it easy for folks to remember, we just say once a year. But essentially, it's out of the one pot of money we have, you can get help once. You cannot double dip. That's basically all that means.
Sure.
And then because we have had multiple funding sources in the past, especially during COVID, we could help folks, sometimes twice in a year, or with PG&E and propane. If anyone's unsure of whether or not they've already been helped this year, they're always welcome to call us, and we can just double check that for them.
Sure.
And then our contact information for the Energy Department specifically is pulled up right there. But for Amador and Calaveras, we service Amador and Calaveras residents out of our Jackson Service Center. And then for Tuolumne County residents, we recommend that they contact the Sonora Service Center. And our website is listed up there as well.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. So we need to talk a little bit about taxes.
We do. One of the other services we offer to Calaveras residents is free tax preparation, and that's for folks that make $60,000 or less. So it's one of the higher income level. Low income, they consider 60,000. I don't know if I do, but they do.
I was going to say, but okay.
And it's for residents in Calaveras and Amador and Tuolumne County.
Okay.
In Calaveras, we established, anybody from Calaveras has always been able to come to either one of our service centers, but we established, starting last year, through some increase in funding is what it needed to be to have the infrastructure to do this. Going to the same place at the Health and Human Services that Energy does, where people can come there.
Okay.
And that's every Monday, although I hate to say it because now it's April 1st. They're pretty full in almost all the areas. So on our website it explains that, and I'll explain a little bit of that in a minute. There's a few restrictions, and that's based on IRS, and the IRS is the one that oversees this program. So it's VITA, which is Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. And so the tax preparers are IRS certified volunteers. They go through a training program and testing and so forth. And We have several of our volunteers who are veterans and excellent. They're former tax professionals.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, they're just an excellent group. A few of them have been there for I think he's on his 12th year with us, and the
that's
others
amazing.
in the profession. So you're getting very good quality professional services there. And there are a few things we can't do if you have rental income. Dividends, something, I don't know, it's listed on our website, those little
They
funny
got to
things.
be fairly simple tax returns.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's for low income. We do also have, we've been part of the California Earned Income Tax Credit grant program for many, many years, and it's like low-income tax credits and child care tax credits and all of those things the IRS has, the California has that also. So even though it's sort of geared toward low-income families, they keep expanding it a little more and a little more. So we really try to tell people that if you made, I think it's less than $30,950, it's been $30,000 forever, and then they decided to make it another number so you can't spit it out as easily. That they'll get these credits back. If they have a child under 6, they'll get more money back. Other criteria, you could get more money back. There's foster youth now. If they've been in the foster care system, they get money back. But particularly for seniors, it's if you've worked even a little bit, and I know there's a lot of people on Social Security that are working part-time.
Sure.
Even it's for yourself. If you've made over $1 in this working world, not with Social Security, you could be eligible for this credit. So there's a lot of people that don't file because they don't need to, they're not required to, but they might be missing out on this tax credit.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, if you made $10 or $20, whatever it is, $10,000, whatever it is, below that $30,950, you may get a little bit of extra money in your pocket. So it's worth going ahead and filing. So we know that there's Californians leave millions and millions of dollars on the table because they don't file because they don't know about that aspect.
The other good reason to file, even if you don't think you need to, is it's a good way to make sure nobody else has your Social Security number and is...
Had my own personal nightmare in that realm. I never did get the stimulus. It's still.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Yeah, but that's one of the things that has come up over the years is people are going in. Oh, I don't think I need to file, but we encourage them because of the earned income, and then they go in and find out that, oh, their taxes were filed by somebody else. You know, so it's good to keep track of that, I think.
It is. It is. So one of the things a good thing that came out of COVID with this is somewhere nationally, this little nonprofit group of, techies, basically, working to make the tech world a little easier to use for folks. And so one of the things they came up with was how to do your taxes. I know there's TurboTax and everything else where you can do it online for free, but this, to a point. You get to that point and said, well, now we want money because you have this.
Exactly.
This is absolutely for free. And it connects you to our own tax preparers. It's not just to somebody else in the country. So virtually doing that is called getyourrefund.org, and they've made it available to us and anybody that has the criteria that needs it. And so what you can do is not have to leave your home or your area, as long as you have to have internet somewhere. And you sign up, you can start online, you can do that from your phone or from your computer or from the library's computer, and it connects you to our volunteers who are based in Sonora mostly, but at least that you, like I said, you're getting somebody local-ish, not from Minnesota or something. And then you just upload your documents. A lot of it's just taking a picture on your phone and sending it up. I've had a lot of seniors have, their children or grandchildren or something help them with, this is how you do this from your phone, Grandma. And then the tax preparer contacts you and they may say, oh, this is great, but we're missing this, or for whatever reason we can't do this, or like, well, your taxes are done. and so you don't have to actually have an appointment. You don't have to do an in-person anything anymore. You don't have to travel, from Dorrington or Arnold to Jackson or Sonora or even San Andreas. 'Cause
Right.
I was in Arnold for many years, and everything was always in San Andreas, and that was a drive.
Exactly, it is.
So it makes it more convenient. So we have our tax line open all the time, during the week. Nothing's going to close April 15th. And that's the other thing is, if you're hearing this and you think, oh, wow, maybe I should file my taxes because I did make a little bit of money last year, you could still do that, but you don't have, there's no deadline. If you're not owed taxes, there's no deadline for filing your taxes.
Right.
You can file them anytime. See if you can do it yourself. See if you want some help. See if you can make an appointment. See if you can, if you're eligible. There's a lot of information on our website on energy, tax, all of our programs. We have a page specific to Calaveras. If you just go to the home page right below where it says ATCAA at the very top of the header, click here and it shows what those services are. And what the phone numbers are, who to call, everything. So it's right there. That's where you can also download some applications. Same thing, the tax program also has a packet of information required by the IRS, et cetera, et cetera. So those are downloadable also. They can also be mailed out or be picked up in various locations. And the tax program isn't out and about as much as the energy, but they want to be. So it's just a matter. It's staffing and hours and those things to get that information out and about in the community. But it's very accessible, even with just a phone call, to have it mailed to you. See, the other program that we offer in Calaveras is the Lifeline Medical Alert Program, where you have the little on your neck or something.
Right.
Press the button and they come. And depending on funding, and this is usually donation for fundraising. The Sutter Hospital, I think, has helped with some of this. It is a monthly fee, but it's on a sliding scale based on your income. So if you're low income, you can get some help with that. And they have installers that come out and install it in your home, on your phone, and what you need. And it's another one of those things that helps people stay in their home. It gives their sons and daughters maybe peace of mind. So they don't always have your cell phone in your hand when you're walking around your home.
And a lot of those life alerts, if you fall, it will automatically call for you. So you're not. So you don't even have to be conscious.
Right. Right. Our program doesn't serve all of Calaveras County, only because there's a portion of it that I think it's Adventist Health covers that. So since they're doing that, we're not going to overlap. We're going to cover this part. So it's more of the northern part of Calaveras. But all of that's available on our website. And really, if you go to the website on the phone or on your computer or whatever, you can find all of the services we offer. And even on the Calaveras page, there's a few resources there. It needs to be expanded more. It's just time. That where the Resource Connection and the Calaveras Mariposa Community Action Agency and Calaveras Health and Human Services, Sierra Hope, for some of these other things when people need help that we don't offer it here. We try to tell them who does, where they can get started.
Okay. So we have a minute left.
A minute.
Do you have any last words that we need to get out before we wrap this up?
Well, we love Calaveras. Lived here for a long time. Our executive director is from Calaveras, our housing director, our food bank director.
Oh my goodness.
We really care.
Okay, that is good to know.
Yeah. And so if there's something you see out there, if you're a listener, that you need or doesn't make sense or want more clarification, just contact us. Or say, wow, we could really use these packets in West Point or I don't know, Dorrington or
Sure.
something, whatever it is, let us know. Or they say, this is confusing on the website. It's like, well, let's figure out how to make it less confusing.
Good.
We really just hope to serve everybody that needs to be served in the capacity that we can. So that's
Great.
about it.
Wonderful.
So-
Well, thank you so much for coming today. I really enjoyed talking to both of you. I learned a lot, and I hope our listeners learned a lot. Thank you for joining us today, and please join us again next time.